Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of our F1 2021 MyTeam Career Mode here, this time with part 45 of Season 3 at the Belgium Grand Prix. Last time out we were in Austria where we had a massive clash with our teammate Daniel Ricciardo that forced him to retire from the race and ourselves to sort of lose the opportunity where we were looking like we could easily win to end up finishing down in P3. So that brings us into a very awkward phase now where we've got a contract negotiation phase where we can either sign Ricciardo or get a new teammate, and I can confirm that both ourselves and Ricciardo have mutually decided to split ways, and so we will have a new teammate for the second half of the season, and that teammate is going to be Max Verstappen. He hasn't been happy at Red Bull because he's only really been able to get a win when something's gone wrong for a top team. Red Bull haven't really been in a position to win races off a pure pace. And considering he's sort of just floating off of the title fight, he wants to make sure he can be right in it in a fast car this season. So he's decided to make the jump to us this time out. You can see myself and Verstappen here. We've got a new sponsor on the back there, Zvezky, one of Max's personal sponsors after we lose Optus with Daniel leaving the team. So hopefully now with this new lineup we can be challenging for more 1-2s like we had in Azerbaijan with ourselves and Daniel, and really push for that Constructors' Championship as we now look on to the next team, which is Red Bull. And you can see Valtteri Bottas makes his return to F1 after sitting out the first half of this season. After he was dropped by Mercedes, he's partnered by Sergio Perez, who remains at the team. So Bottas will be a bit out of practice, but certainly not a bad pick from Red Bull. Obviously the Season 1 champion here in our MyTeam, and now having a look at Mercedes, and that is where Daniel Ricciardo has gone. He'll be partnering Lewis Hamilton at the Silver Arrows, so that could be a very, very interesting scenario there between those two. It'll be nice to see if Ricciardo is able to challenge Hamilton. You can see he's a couple rating below, but Hamilton hasn't really been on top form either. So that's all for our driver changes heading into this round and the second half of the season. Not a whole lot of changes, but certainly some interesting ones that'll be important to take note of, and I'm sure will cause up a bit of a stir. And unfortunately there you can see in the standings, Zhou Guanyu has been dropped out of F1 after not really performing for Mercedes in the first half of the season. But yeah, we sit in second, 1 point off of Charles Leclerc heading into the Belgium Grand Prix here. So hopefully we can have a good race and challenge to get back into the lead. Our new teammate Verstappen sits in third. He's quite a few points off, but hopefully he's able to maybe try and push to try and catch up now that he's in a bit of a quicker car than the Red Bulls, who have certainly been struggling a little bit. But it'll also be interesting to see how Bottas and Ricciardo are able to fare in their new team. So quite a bit to look out for this round in Belgium. It was a decent qualifying for Verstappen and ourselves. We had to take an engine penalty into this one though, so we're a few places down. But yeah, interesting to see how the three new drivers do in their new teams, and if they're maybe able to shake up the order a little bit. But let's have a look at the grid.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Bottas, Carlos Sainz and Ricciardo, Vettel, Hamilton, Norris and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Benjamin. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Tsunoda, Stroll, Latifi, Antonio Giovinazzi and Nobuharu Matsushita, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman and George Russell ends our grid lineup. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So here we are lining up on the grid in P13 for the Belgian Grand Prix. I believe I qualified somewhere initially around P5 or 6 or 7 or something like that, and then I had to take a couple engine penalties. Obviously we had that engine failure early on in the season in China, and that has sort of offset us from everyone else in terms of the engine parts that we have used. And so yeah, a couple penalties are to be expected over the course of the season, but interesting things to note from qualifying. Max on pole in his first qualifying session for the team, so really good to see that strong performance from our new teammate. Bottas was pretty much dead on equal to Perez. They line up in 3rd and 4th in the Red Bulls. Ricciardo out-qualified Hamilton, which is really interesting to see for Ricciardo's first qualifying at Mercedes. And Lando Norris still struggling in that McLaren, getting out-qualified by his teammate Carlos Sainz. So as we head to the lights now for the start of the Grand Prix, we've got a lot of interesting stories building up for this race, and it is 5 lights out and away we go for the Belgium Grand Prix. We get actually a decent start. We get a better start than Alonso, so we're going to have to go to the inside if we want to maybe make a move on the Alpine. There's a massive crash behind us there. That's one of the Aston Martins with a wheel off the car. We're into P10, so we've made up 3 spots on the grid, and it is a safety car, 1 corner into the Grand Prix, and so we're definitely going to have a look at a replay of what on earth happened there. We're on board with Nikita Mazepin in the Aston Martin. He got an alright start. He's boxed in with the Alfa Romeos there, and he just smashes into the back of one of them there. He just reacted a bit too late to how early everyone broke. And yeah, just immediately before even turn 1, he's out of the race. Here's George Russell in the Porsche Williams, and there's Mazepin crashing up ahead. So he hasn't crashed into Mazepin because he's right off the racing line. But as everyone's he wasn't expecting everyone to just smash on the brakes in the apex as the safety car came out, and he's just smashed into the back of another car there. And he's out of the Grand Prix. So very chaotic start there. 2 DNFs. From cars at the back of the grid. And as we now head to the end of lap 3, start of lap 4, we're going to have a safety car restart. We're going to try and get a good run on Lewis Hamilton, but we get a massive kick of oversteer as we get on the power, and so we're not going to be able to get Hamilton into turn 1. Verstappen still leads the way though ahead of Charles Leclerc, and you can see that here we are through turn 1. Actually a bit under threat from Fernando Alonso as we have a lock-up as we now head down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Are we able to maybe close in on the Mercedes down the straight? We know the Audi engine is pretty good compared to the Mercedes. They're pretty close to equal, but the Audi is slightly on top of that Merc engine, but not really able to do anything down the Kemmel Straight as we now head towards a little bit later on in the lap. We are very close to the back of Lewis Hamilton, just trying to pressure the 7-time champion into making a mistake in the Mercedes as we follow him very closely into the 3rd sector. Now there is a yellow flag behind us though, you can see there on the minimap, and it is another safety car. Nobuharu Matsushita, our first teammate in the series, is out of the race in the Alfa Romeo, and that's our 2nd safety car. We haven't even done a complete full green racing lap yet. You can see, we're going to have a look at the replay. Here's Antonio Giovinazzi, Matsushita's teammate in the Alfa, spins it around there, and yet Matsushita really couldn't do anything about that. He just smashes into his teammate as he comes back across the track. And somehow Giovinazzi's come out of that all right. But Matsushita, he's out of the race, missing a tyre, and his front wing completely. So are we going to be able to get a full green flag lap in this race? You can see as we head into the pit lane now. So they haven't even done a full racing lap on these tyres yet, and already deciding to come in for a pit stop. Verstappen and Sainz are the only 2 cars from the front of the pack that haven't decided to pit. Daniel Ricciardo is actually the same. So those 3 are going for a little bit of an alternate strategy by the looks of it. You can see all of us coming in for the hard tyres. We're going to try and go to the end of the race, except for the 2 Ferrari, Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel are going onto the soft tyres. So they're opting for a 2-stop. Everyone else opting for a 1-stop. So interesting to see who will be able to come out on top there. You can see we've actually just about jumped Valtteri Bottas there in the pit lane. He had to double stack with Perez. So unfortunately for him there, in his race back in Formula 1, his debut for Red Bull there, he's been a little bit screwed over with the double stacking there, but nothing really can do about that. So as we head on to lap 5 now under safety car, we're going to go through a little bit of running order. We've got Verstappen leading the way still on those starting soft tyres. Same with Carlos Sainz in P2. Same with Daniel Ricciardo in P3. Yuki Tsunoda in the AlphaTauri also hasn't pit. So he's sort of the same as the front 3 guys, but obviously the AlphaTauri not quite having as much pace as those front 3 cars. The exact same with Esteban Ocon there, hasn't made a pit stop. And then the first car to have made a pit stop is Charles Leclerc on another set of soft tyres. So sort of in sync in the same battle with those cars that haven't made a pit stop yet. They're same there with Nicholas Latifi in 7th. Perez, the lead driver on the hard tyres. So I guess you could say he is the net race leader at this point here because he's got 1 less pit stop to do than everyone in front of him. Vettel is in P9, also on the 2-stop. Hamilton in 10th on the hard tyres as well. Lando Norris in 11th on the hards. Fernando Alonso in an Alpine. He is also on soft tyres, I believe, same as his teammate. He's going for the 2-stop as well. And then we've got Valtteri Bottas in the Red Bull just behind us there in P14. He's on hard tyres. So yeah, some alternating strategies going on here. It'll certainly be interesting to see. Charles Leclerc, I think, is the biggest story out of all of that, doing a 2-stop. But we know for sure he's got the pace to possibly make it work. So we'll have to watch out for him on that faster alternate strategy as we once again get a shocking restart there heading on to lap 7. You can see Alonso who's just off. He's up the road, obviously on soft tyres. But that whole pack has gotten away from us. And once again, we lock up into turn 1. And we are under immediate threat from Valtteri Bottas there, the Season 1 champion, as we head down towards Eau Rouge and Raidillon. He's going to be right on the slipstream. We're going to have to give it everything we can if we want to hold off the Red Bull. Although there is a yellow flag which will help us out, and it's Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. He's had an engine failure there on the safety car restart. Can that cause another safety car there? Will we be having 3 safety cars without a single green flag running lap? Luckily enough, no. He's not going to cause another safety car. The FAA has decided that he's pulled off into a safe enough location, and we're going to continue racing here. But that does help us move up a position ahead of the Alpine there. And we're actually right on the back of the other Alpine now of Fernando Alonso. We've closed in pretty nicely now that the tyres have warmed up. You can see end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3. We're going to get a much better run there through the fast right-hander. We are up alongside the 2-time champion, getting a slipstream off of Norris. So you can see trying to force Alonso out of the slipstream there. And we do get the move done into P11 now, right on the back of the reigning champion Norris, who's really been struggling this season in that McLaren compared to his teammate. We're going to try and get a good run, but not really able to do it as we now head on to lap 8. No DRS quite yet, but we are in the slipstream. Are we able to go for a dive at the end of the Camel Straight? You bet we are. We'll get a massive dive, actually. Norris broke pretty early, and we quite easily get that move done on the champion and get ourselves into the points in P10. And next car up ahead is Hamilton. So I guess you could say this is a net P3 from us so far, as we are right on the back of the Mercedes. Are we going to be able to get a move done? You can see we're closing on Latifi. There is DRS now. Hamilton goes to the inside. We're going to go to the outside, go 3 wide at the end of the Camel Straight into Sector 2, trying to make sure we don't make contact. We get ahead. No, I thought we were ahead of Hamilton. No, we're not. So we've ended up having to slot in behind. Hamilton gets ahead of Latifi. Unfortunately, we have to go for another move on Latifi, but we're not able to do it into the hairpin there. Unfortunately, the Williams was on a much better racing line, and so we're going to have to sit behind that Porsche-powered car for a few corners here, but we're going to get a nice run out of no-name corner there, down towards Pouon here, and we do get the move done there through the fast left-hander, and now we're going to have to try and make up the gap to Hamilton again. Luckily, we're just about within DRS range, and so hopefully we can close in there to the 7-time champ, who we've been trying to make a move on this entire race by the looks of it, since the safety car, that first safety car ended. We've been trying to make a move on him, but you can see here, end of lap 9, here comes our teammate Max Verstappen into the pit lane. You would assume for a one-stop strategy at this point. You can see Sainz also into the pit lane, same too with Daniel Ricciardo, and so Charles Leclerc will assume the race lead, but of course has to make another pit stop. So where is he going to filter out compared to these guys? Because I guess you could say these guys are technically getting the undercut on him, but he also, I don't know if those softs have worn out too much, or who knows what's happening at this point, really. It's just drive as fast as you can, get to the end of the race, and we'll see how the strategies play out at this point. So we're moving to P5 now, Hamilton in P4, but Vettel and Leclerc will have to pit, and so again, this is technically a P3, I guess you could say here for us, as we're now trying to go for P2, ahead of Lewis Hamilton down the Camel Straight. He has no DRS to defend himself this time, though, so that's a pretty easily move done on the Mercedes. And now we're going to see if we can maybe chase down the 3-second gap to Sergio Perez. I don't know if that's going to be possible, though. He is in a bit of a battle with Vettel, who's trying to get past on those much softer tyres, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I'd assume the two Ferraris will be pitting in relatively soon, so we'll have to have a look here. As you can see here on lap 11, Hamilton coming back at us again. We're going to go side by side through Raidillon there. I think there's a little bit of side by side contact between the two of us, but neither of us have damage. As we go down the Camel Straight, he is completely ahead of us there, and I pull into the slipstream to see if I can maybe do something, but the DRS is just too strong there. Even though I was using all my ERS deployment, Hamilton is able to stay ahead, and so we're going to have to try and find another way back through on the Mercedes if we want to get ourselves back into a net second place. We're going to have a look to the inside of the hairpin, but Hamilton comes across us there. Very lucky that we didn't make any contact. You can see Lando Norris is actually pretty close to the back of us here as we're battling away, sort of wasting time, as Vettel now has 5 seconds to us, which obviously means Perez has 5 seconds to us. We're going to go to the inside of Pouon, and we do get the move done there. Hamilton tries to hold the outside, but we do get the move done, and back into 4th place here on track. and hopefully we can try and hold it a bit longer this time around. You can see coming to the end of lap 11, there's Sebastian Vettel in the pit lane. You can see on the totem on the top left there, we go ahead and into P3. Leclerc has a 12-second lead, 13-second lead pretty much, which won't be enough for him to stay ahead when he makes his pit stop. So we are in a net P2, like I've been saying. You can see here on lap 12.
We're expecting some rain soon. Expect the first drops in the next few minutes.
So there we go, that could spice things up quite a bit. Rain forecasted to fall any minute here. Could this give Charles Leclerc enough time to make his pit stop as the rain falls and stay ahead? It doesn't look like it, because he's in the pit lane now at the end of lap 12, and you'd assume he's going to go for dry tyres, and I'd assume he's going to go for mediums as well. So interesting to see what sort of pace he'll have compared to the rest of us now. You can see Sergio Perez takes over the lead of the Belgium Grand Prix here about halfway through the race. You can see that Leclerc is onto the mediums, so he'll have pace over the lot of us, but he's got to work his way through the field if he wants to get towards the front of the pack again, as we now sit in P2, 5 seconds off of Sergio Perez. Are we going to be able to chase down the Mexican? Now we've sort of got a little bit of a gap to Hamilton. He's still within DRS range, so we have to be careful. And as we head down the Camel Straight, I get the feeling he's actually going to be close enough to have a go at us here. You can see on lap 13, he is closing in. If you look at the totem, but he's not quite enough. And now on lap 15, the rain is falling. Hamilton is still right behind us. Perez has only been able to open the gap a little bit, so it hasn't really changed a whole lot. But Hamilton, here he comes now, still with DRS despite the rain falling. The track is very slippery now. We're going to go side by side down the Camel Straight into the second sector. We're going to go side by side here. It is very, very slippery. You can see Jeff gives us the strategy to pit onto intermediate tyres this lap. We run a little wide onto the curb as I get a bit distracted there with that strategy change. Almost losing the car. We're once again going to go side by side with Hamilton. You can see how tentative we're having to be now. Certainly some puddles are starting to form on the track as we're still going side by side here for almost half a lap. Hamilton does eventually get himself ahead and is so sketchy right now, trying to get around this Spa track in these very tricky damp conditions. You can see it might have been a bit hard to tell without looking at the actual car's body language. We go to the inside out of nowhere. We were almost losing the car through Puon there, and somehow we've managed to go real late on the brakes and outbrake Hamilton and get ourselves back alongside here, trying to fight for second. As once again, look how wet the track is now. Just over the course of this lap, look how wet the track is. We almost spin the car there, heading into the third sector. We've now got Lando Norris, and Charles Leclerc is in this battle now for P2, so he's closed up on us. He's going for a move on Lando Norris. We're going to try and go for a move on Hamilton. We actually back out of it. Hamilton spins. We've hit the back of Hamilton, and he's smashed into the wall. He's broken his front wing as well, so that is a third safety car here in Spa. Late drama there. We were going to have to pit this lap anyway for intermediates, so luckily that hasn't lost us too much time, but we are going to have to change our front wing now because we did hit the back of the Mercedes as Hamilton, completely on his own, just started to lose it there through Blanchimont. So yeah, that could lose us quite a few positions now in this safety car, and it's quite late on in the race, so we're going to have to see what can happen. But unfortunately, we might be able to see there on the mini-map, Verstappen and Sainz haven't made a pit stop onto the intermediate tyres. Every single other car has, including Perez in front of us. Everyone behind us is coming in, so for whatever reason, those two are not coming in. But you can see, look at all the cars going past us, how many spots we've lost. We're going to come out in P8 behind Valtteri Bottas, so yeah, wow, we've got a lot of work to do if we want to get back into a podium position here in Belgium. You can see getting a strategy change there from Jeff. We're going to ignore that. We're going to the end of the race on these intermediate tyres. Same with everyone else. We're going to have a look at some replays there. You can see here's Hamilton just loses it on his own, and we maybe help him around a little bit more when we hit the back of him, but he was already going to hit that wall. You can see here's our onboard view. I tried to go to the inside, then I decided to back out of it, and he just spins, and he lost so much speed while spinning. I really had no time to react. We're going to go for a little bit of a slow-mo shot here. You can see as we head into the corner, he's already lost it by this point, and yeah, I just had nowhere to go. Hit the back of the Mercedes and break the front wing. And yeah, that's just a massive, massive shame at the end of lap 17 now, though, start of lap 18. Can we get third time lucky maybe on a safety car restart? No, we're not. It's another poor safety car restart there. We just happen to be in a real poor position to get a good run out of that last corner. But we're a bit closer to Bottas this time than we have been to the cars ahead of us previously. We've got to be careful of Sebastian Vettel, though. He's right behind us. We get a little bit squirrely on the power out of turn 1. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to challenge Vettel down the Camel Straight this time around. As I run a little bit too wide there through Radion, still trying to get used to the track. But you can see now, the end of lap 18, we are right on the back of Valtteri Bottas as we head down sort of this back straight section. I don't really know what you call this part of the track as we head down towards Blanchimont. We're going to go for a move on the Red Bull, maybe into the bus stop chicane. We are getting quite close. You can see a lot quicker through Blanchimont than Bottas is, and we're going to have a look maybe to the inside. No, Bottas defends, so we're going to dive to the outside there, locking up the outside wheel a little bit. Bottas jumps that inside curb, but we have the inside for the last corner, and that is us up into P5. He certainly made us work for it, so Bottas doing well in that Red Bull at the moment. He's been a little bit unlucky with strategy compared to Perez. I'd say he's been pretty much on par with his teammate this entire race, and certainly deserves to be at the front there with Checo in the lead Red Bull in this race at the moment. But now the next car ahead of us is our former teammate from literally just last race, our first race apart once again. Can we maybe get the move on Ricciardo heading down the Camel Straight? Doesn't look like we're close enough, unfortunately, but we certainly have the pace over that Mercedes. Mercedes have sort of been struggling a little bit this season. They've been in a similar position to Red Bull, where they've certainly got pace. Oh no, whoa! Ricciardo broke very late there, and we had to go for a little dive to the inside. So, yeah, what I was just saying is Mercedes have been very similar to Red Bull, where they've had the pace to sort of be there in case anything goes wrong. You can see Ricciardo defending nicely into the hairpin there, but it doesn't matter. We're going to try and hang it around the outside, get the crisscross, go to the outside of No Name corner now, and we're going to sweep around the outside there of our fellow Aussie and get ourselves into P4. And I'm not going to lie, that was a pretty satisfying move there to get done on our teammate after our falling out last time out in Austria. But now our focus is on Charles Leclerc, who's gotten himself into a podium position there on that alternate strategy, which he got even more of a disadvantage on that alternate strategy with the rain coming out pretty much straight away after. But now at the end of lap 21, we've got literally just over a lap to go. So I'd say Perez has this race locked out. As we head down the back straight here, are we close enough to go for a move on the Ferrari into Blanchimont? We are closing very rapidly. I'm going to look to the inside. We're going to go side by side. No, I actually decided to back out of it there, having a sort of flashback to what happened with Hamilton. I just backed out of it there and made sure to keep the car in one piece for the end of the race. But remember, we are in a championship battle with Charles Leclerc, 1 point between us. Whoever finishes ahead of us in this one will go into the next round in the lead of the championship. So that is very vital for us to get this move done on at least a Ferrari. If we can get Lando Norris as well, that would be very good. Lando has benefited massively from the rain. He's been struggling all the race down in the bottom part of the top 10, but now he's battling for a P2 here as we're going to go side by side with Charles Leclerc. I decided to back out of it there, heading into Radion. Obviously, we went side by side with Hamilton in the dry, but in the wet, I didn't even want to think about attempting that. As we now head down the Camel Straight, we are right on the back of our championship rival on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Are we going to be able to go to the inside here? Yes, we are. We're going to go for a massive dive. This could be the difference between winning and losing the championship. Leclerc pulls ahead there, but we've got the better run through these sections of corners as he's been put offline. And we're going to get a beautiful exit there down towards the hairpin. We're going to stay to the inside. We're going to go side by side through the hairpin, and we get the move done. Leclerc isn't able to hold it around the outside there, and that is us up into P3 with half a lap to go. Are we able to get close enough to Lando Norris in the McLaren, the reigning world champion, our title rival last season? Now that we've got ahead of our title rival for this season, you can see cutting on to later in the lap, Perez is absolutely gone. He's got a 4.5-ish second lead over sort of this pack, although actually it's about 2.8 seconds, sorry, I read that completely wrong. But as we head through Blanchimont, not close enough to Lando Norris. We've run a little bit wide, almost lost the car. We're going to have to go for a massive dive into the chicane here. If we want to get this move done, we do, but I've locked up the brakes. We hit the side of Norris. We've broken our front wing with 1 corner to go. Sergio Perez crosses the line to win the Belgium Grand Prix, finally for him. But Lando holds on to P2. We get P3. What an insane race.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a good finish. Well done.
Many doubted whether they could pull off the win here at Spa-Francochamps, but they've done so in spectacular style. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack, and having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Well, I don't really know what to say. At the start of this video, I said Verstappen came to us because Red Bull didn't really seem to have the pace to pull off race wins unless something happened to some of the front teams, and Yeah, here's Perez winning the Belgian Grand Prix immediately after Max's exit, and Max not even finishing in the points, down in P12. To be fair, not completely his fault. The team, for whatever reason, made some real poor strategy calls for him there, so we're going to have to go back to base and have a chat about that, but I'm sure he won't be happy. Red Bull will be feeling very proud of themselves after pulling that off, and yeah, there's just certainly a lot to think about of what could have been this race. I feel like P2 could have been on the cards for us there until Hamilton had his issue. And yeah, I feel like we did good to get to where we did in the end. You can see in the Drivers' Championship, really, we can't be too upset because we've taken the lead once again, 2 points ahead of Charles Leclerc. Verstappen still stays in third, so it's not like he's lost any positions or anything. So he should be, hopefully okay with that. And we're just going to have to look forward to the next race to get as good a result as possible. Really, there's not a lot really changing. Hamilton and Ricciardo are actually 1 point away from each other, so they've sort of started this new partnership with each other, sort of on the perfect equal playing field where they can stack up against each other. And I'm sure that's one of the many reasons Mercedes decided to hire the Aussie after parting ways with ourselves. But yeah, certainly a long season still ahead of us here. You can see in terms of the constructors, we're 33 points off of Ferrari. We did lose out to them this weekend, but hopefully now, as I've said already a few times, I'm sure Max will come back better and stronger than ever in the future rounds. It was just real unfortunate with the way the race panned out today. 3 safety cars and rain coming on in the race very late on. It was just a bit of a gamble on who was going to finish where, but that was all, guys, for this episode. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. We'll be in Italy next time. I'll see you all there. Goodbye.